Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's webinar. We have some great content to cover, and without further ado, I shall introduce Kevin Young, the founder of our club, and the club has been going since 1994. So take it away, Kevin, and welcome to today's webinar. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Please make sure that can you please raise your hand if you can hear me clearly. Thank you, everyone. Beautiful. I can see those hands coming up. We've got quite a few people attending today, so thank you so much for raising your hands. And Kevin, away you go, Kev.
Thanks, Roger. And thanks, everyone, for your time of coming in. I've got to say, I'm very grateful for your time to come in and listen to what we've got to talk about. It brings me back to why I started the club. I had a call from a guy just about 2 months ago, and he said, look, I know you guys recommended this suburb. We thought we'd do it ourselves. So mate and I went walking around the suburb. We found this building being built and we bought it. But the problem was, now we know, we both bought the ground floor unit, that there's cracks in the base, in the concrete foundations and coming up the wall. What can we do? And I'm helping them try and get the way through it, but it's going to be a very expensive process for them. But it reminded me of why I started the club, because there's just so many traps in buying property, and no one's out there to actually tell people what the traps are. A real estate agent will say, look at the window, isn't it lovely? These properties will suit you, but they won't explain why it will suit you or why it wouldn't suit you. And the difference is with Roger, he's got that much experience now over the 18 years, is that he'll be able to show you properties, but more importantly, he'll be able to show you why those properties are important to you, so that you will have a tenant, you will have capital growth, and you won't have a problem with vacancies and falling behind with the bank, and God heaven forbid, mortgaging in possession. So that's why we create more millionaires than anyone. So, sorry, I'm getting things coming in at me. Can I ask a question of everyone? Because I want to make you successful. I want you to achieve what you want. Just personally, just get a bit of paper and write down why you're coming in tonight. What do you want to achieve? So John had a bit of paper. Did you come tonight to find a way to lower your mortgage so you've got more cash in your pocket each month, less going out to the bank so you can achieve a better lifestyle? Is it to gain property so you can gain more assets, car, travel, better home, lifestyle, education for your children? What is it? It's important that you write down what you want to get out of tonight's meeting, because Roger's aim is to help you achieve those things, and we're very successful at it. We've created over 5,000 millionaires, which is a world record. I've been told overseas that these people that go around charging thousands for conferences would not know 6 people they've made wealthy. So there you go. It's a very successful club. That's why I started. And I've got to thank you for coming in tonight to learn, but equally, you will take action now so that we can help you, or more appropriately, Roger can help you. Roger's been with us 18 years. He started out as an investor himself, found those problems that I mentioned before, came along as a property investor, then really applied himself. And his key strength is that Roger really focuses to be professional at every stage that he wants to do something. So he was very successful as an investor, very successful as a property mentor, and then as a branch manager, and then applied himself and became one of our top researchers in Australia. So I really got to thank you, Roger, for your time and effort, energy, and the support you're getting at home too by all the family. First, if I can just say to those people who are boarding in Queensland, I apologise. In our first 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, we doubled our money, and we thought how good it was. But over the last 10 years, from 2010 to 2020, it's been absolutely flat right across the spectrum. So no matter who you bought from, where you bought from, there was just absolutely no growth. The reason for that was there was no employment. There was no employment growth dragging more population up into the country from around Australia or from overseas for those various projects. None of them have got off the ground. So now it's up to the current government to start doing things. And the good sign there is that in the last 12 months, Queensland property growth has led the country with 5% growth, and I'm anticipating it'll be 20% this year. So as the media is saying here, it's the hottest real estate on the planet. So tonight's about Melbourne. And what about Melbourne? The media in Melbourne are rightly saying the price rises are the greatest in the last 17 years. And this might lead you to think, well, hang on, have we topped out? Is it the top of the market? But no, as with all these things, the media, of course, are wrong. These prices now, though they've risen the greatest in the last 17 years, are only back at 2017 prices. So the real boom is starting now. So you're in at the right time. Affordability has never been better. And over the last 2 years, interest rates have come down 1%. The wages have gone up 6%. So everything is right to see property prices continue to rise, and it's getting easier and easier and easier to pay those higher prices. One other factor that's helping Roger is that investors are usually 33% of the market. Now they're down to 20% of the market. So builders who rely on investors to bolster their sales targets are desperate for sales, and Roger's taking advantage of that to say, look, we've got buyers that are educated, they're waiting, they know this is the right time, we can get in and we can secure sales for you, but we want a great deal. So in the start of the boom, Roger can get some really good deals for you. But there's another hidden reason why you should take action. We all know that the government has run up heaps amounts of debts with the COVID reaction. In fact, there's $900 billion worth of debt, nearly $1 trillion worth of debt. How are they going to pay that back? You, unless you take action with Roger, you're going to pay it back. So what did they do in 2010, 11, 12 when they had, then it was just nearly $1 billion. 1/10 of what it is today. They simply increased PAYG taxes. They didn't increase business taxes, they increased PAYG taxes. And why is that? Because there's millions of people paying tax. So if you want to take home more of your tax, take-home pay, not less, listen to Roger and we'll get you PAYG down to zero and you won't be ripped off. Now, you're a good Australian or a bad Australian if you do that. Have a think about it. If you don't pay any tax, you're doing it because Rogers helps you buy a lot of property. Every time you buy a $500,000 property, how much tax are you paying? So you're paying nothing out of your PAYG, but would you believe you're paying $250,000 in taxes when you buy a $500,000 tax? That's why they give you these tax incentives. You've created thousands and thousands of jobs across the country as investors. These people pay PAYG tax. Their companies pay capital gain, company tax. The councils charge DA and BA application fees, etc. They make money. State governments get the GST. So property is really a cash cow for government. So feel good about helping the economy, feel good about creating jobs, feel good about creating taxes, but you're not paying any of it. So that's why I started the club. That's why I'm happy to create millionaires. And that's why I really appreciate you coming in tonight. And most of all, Roger giving up his time. So Roger, any questions, any time from anyone, if you can please let me know. Happy to come back in at the end and answer any of those questions. So guys and girls, I hope you enjoy the presentation coming up, and I hope we're both combining, Roger and I, to make you wealthy and pay no tax. And remember, banks are bastards. Let's reduce the amount you're paying them. So thank you. And so at this stage, good night. Thank you, Roger, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Kev. That was very, very good. As usual, Kevin is a wealth of knowledge and he has some very, very good comments and thoughts. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more later on about our virtual expo, which we're running on the 20th of March. So I'll give you some more details about that later on. But if you want to hear more from Kevin, you're welcome to join in for that event, which is going to be in a couple of weeks' time. Okay. Kevin was talking about how we do the research. And one of the things where we look at from a research perspective, we look at these 13 critical factors. for us, any property which before we even list them or before we talk, we recommend them to you as our members. From a research perspective, these are the things which we look at. We look at position, we look at where the property is, what's the construction, what's the rent flow, how do you work from a valuation point of view, what is the style of the property, how far the property is from, as far as from the hospitals are, where's the public transport, because that's what tenants are looking for. So for us, this is very important from a research perspective for us to make sure that every property we look at, we use these 13 critical factors, and then we kind of expand from there the profile of the property. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about, I'm a proud Melburnian. This photograph actually is, my wife had taken it out last week when we were in lockdown. We were in the city and she took out this photograph. So it's definitely her photograph from there, and I really appreciate that. Well, when you look at it, why is Melbourne such a good state, and why is it doing well coming out of this lockdown? Even though we as in Melbourne, we face the most amount of COVID restrictions and the lockdowns and all that. But you look at it, as Kevin mentioned, we are coming out of it very, very quickly. Now we have an economy which is larger than Singapore, New Zealand. That's huge, and our dwelling values are up. We have some huge infrastructure projects on the go, like the East-West Tunnel link. We've got now, after a long time, they've announced the Melbourne Airport to the city, the train line, and we've also got the Northeastern link, which is going to link the Eastern Freeway to the Western Ring Road for those people who know where it is. So that's creating a lot of jobs. That's creating a lot of movement of people, and it's going to help all that. Another big thing which we need to think about is also that the construction approvals has dropped by 20% in the last 12 months, which is great because there's less, as Kevin says, there's less bananas in the store, and therefore there's going to be more demand going in over the next couple of years. Well, when you look at Melbourne, now, and you look at what we are projecting, Melbourne is being projected as the largest Australian city in the next 10 years. It's going to take over Sydney also from a population point of view and from a growth perspective. We have a huge, diverse, and very stable economy, and the gross trade product is over $455 billion. That is a lot of money, and we contribute to 22% of the national GDP, which is another huge step. Now, again, what I'm looking at in Melbourne, and we can look at Melbourne and we can see why Melbourne, and what we are looking at in Melbourne perspective is there's so many different pockets of Melbourne which are good. So now what we are focusing on, our house and land packages are on the outer fringes of the city because that's where it is. So we look at Werribee, Mamberrin, we look at Rockbank in the west, okay, and then you've got Donnybrook, Mickleham, Craigieburn in the north, and then we've got some properties I'm going to talk about in South Morang with some really nice townhouses. Then we've got Heidelberg and Ivanhoe, where we sold a project recently, and now we've got some off the plan properties which I'm going to be talking about in Ivanhoe. And then just today I've negotiated another very, very nice development in Ringwood. So we've got a lot of, so we basically cover the whole of the city. So if there's anything you want, we've got house and land packages, we've got townhouses, we've got sort of apartments. We've got a whole variety of properties which are available. So what I'm going to ask you also later on is to look at a needs analysis. I'm going to send out a needs analysis, and if you have any inquiries, or if you want to find out some more information about certain things, please come back to me. I'm happy to help you. But that's basically, if you look at Melbourne, we look at the surrounds of Melbourne. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about Geelong, and I'll come to that later on, okay? But that's where we are going to be covering today. Okay, so basically, as I said, what have we got? We have got house and land packages starting from $455,000. And the best part is, yes, the rental market in Melbourne has come down a little bit, has softened. There is no doubt about that. But the fact is that the properties are still positive on an average income. The properties are still positive for your house and land packages. So again, if you're looking for a house and land packages in those outer fringe areas, please feel free to contact me, and I will come back to you and I will get you the information. Okay. To get title land is not easy at the moment, but we are working very hard to get that. Okay. So the first property which I want to look at is this completed townhouse project. There's only 12 in the block, and if you look at it, it is a really nice property in South Morang, which is 23 km north of Melbourne. Okay, there's only 3 left, and there's 1 in the front, and there's 2 at the back over here, which faces this bit of a reserve. Now, the body corporate fees are very low because that's all the complexes, the small complex over here of 12 townhouses. And based on the cash flow analysis on an average income, it works out about $35 per week with a rent of $450 per week. So that's very, very strong returns. And so if you want any, this is completed, and we'll be looking at this. We're doing a car convoy in a couple of weeks' time, which will be visiting these properties to actually go and see them, physically see what you're looking at on these properties. So again, really nice from a developer who's been building with us for a long time. So definitely worth having a look at. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about an off-the-plan property, and which we have negotiated really, really well with our vendors. And they were talking about Ivanhoe. Now, as I said, we've sold some properties in Heidelberg recently, and that rent really well. All the properties rented very well. So this property is in Ivanhoe. Ivanhoe is one of the top suburbs of Melbourne. We're only 10 kilometers from the CBD. There's Melbourne CBD, and you go to the northeast of Melbourne, and you've got Ivanhoe. So it's called the Summer Place in Ivanhoe, very close to the station. We're only 25 minutes to the airport, so it's really good location. Now, why did we choose Ivanhoe? When you look at Ivanhoe, there's that many jobs around. There's a health precinct, there's a education precinct, and there's a whole retail precinct over there. And the La Trobe University is there. So when you look at it, what is driving tenancy demand is all employment and jobs. So therefore, professionals want to live close to where they work. So that's the reason why we believe that this particular development will do very, very well. Now we're talking about the Linden development. It is a really, really nice looking property. We've got 134 apartments in there, and there's 14 levels. So there's a mixture of 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom places. Okay, they're looking at starting construction in the middle of this year, and it will be completed in about 18 months build time. They've got some retail space at the bottom, really nice, good quality stuff, and then you've got your apartments over there. You've got full every unit will have a car park, and so that's the situation with Linden. Okay, I think it's a really nice development. Sama Group have been building properties for a long time, and they are very professional in what they do. Okay, so what we're looking at is the completion is going. This is another view from another angle of the properties. And what we've been able to negotiate some really great incentives for club members. So if you're interested, please let us know, and we'll get back to you. With more information. Whichever property you're looking at today, if you want any information, please contact me, and we'll get that information to you as soon as possible. Okay, there is going to be some strong rental returns. We're also got a rental guarantee there, and we're also looking at cash flow positive properties at around $40 a week. So as you can see, it's not going to cost you anything to hold these properties. Okay, so that's why it's important to look at these options and see what you want to do. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is Ringwood. Okay, in fact, just today I've confirmed these details over here. Now, Ringwood is east of Melbourne. So and when you look at Ringwood, this particular development is next to Costco. I know many of you will know where Costco is, and Eastland Shopping Centre. So this is just straight down the road. Costco is here. Eastland Shopping Centre is on the right-hand side. And then you've got this pocket. Now, this pocket in Ringwood is known as the golden pocket of Ringwood, because you've got this is the Eastern Freeway. This is the Eastlink Tollway. You've got the Ringwood bypass at the bottom. You've got Maroondah Highway here. And so this pocket over here is got really, really good stuff. You've got everything around you. You've got Costco. As I said, you've got Eastland. You've got the police station there. You've got some really good schools around here. You've got Coles. You've got the railway station. Ringwood railway station is 300 meters away, so it's walking distance. So everything is within walking distance. And you want to get on the freeway, it's just a 2-minute drive, and you're onto the freeway. So that's the reason why we like this particular development as well. Okay, so what is this development? This is a small development of 48 units in the complex. It's going to be completed in the second quarter or third quarter of 2022. Again, there's 1, 2, 3 bedrooms available. Again, we have got a valuation guarantee on this one, so there's no problem. So in case the valuation falls short, then the vendor will pay the difference. So we've got that. There's low body corporate fees because there's not too many amenities in there because it's also close to everything. And again, it's cash flow positive by about $40 a week. So definitely worth considering if that's where you want to look at. So again, I think this is a great little development as well. Okay, now the next thing I want to talk to you about is Geelong. Now again, we as a club, we have not promoted too many things in Geelong, but I think this is the best. This is now the time to look at where Geelong is. Geelong is a satellite city. It's the second biggest city in Victoria. Okay, and it is really doing really well. I went to Geelong uh, last month or a couple of months ago, and last month it was actually, and the amount of changes which is happening in Geelong is just phenomenal. And this is something which I want. This is the reason why when this development came up, I was very keen to look at it and to study and to research it and to make sure that we're doing the right thing and why we're promoting Geelong. So Geelong, for those people, if you're in Sydney, it's like Wollongong. If you're in Brisbane, it's like going down to the Gold Coast. Okay, so that's where I would compare where Geelong is to Melbourne. So yeah, so what are we looking at in Geelong now? Why do we choose Geelong? Well, you look at the population is going to grow, and because of this pandemic and things like that, where a lot of people are moving to the regional areas, and they don't want to move into these small country towns. They're moving to the big towns, and I don't think Geelong is no more country town. It's become a satellite city of Melbourne. Again, we're looking at this. There's going to be $100 million being spent to get a fast rail to Melbourne, and that's going to take like 30 minutes. There is the airport. The Avalon Airport is only 18 minutes away from Geelong. So, and the Spirit of Tassie, from what we've been told, is going to be moving the dock. Dock is going to be moving to Geelong. So there's a lot of potential on why that is. Again, we've got some fantastic schools. We've got a really good train station, which they've spent a lot of money to develop. We've got hospitals. We've got the shopping centers over there. So there's a whole raft of different activities which are happening there and amenities which are really good. Cotton On is also a big company where my son was working for Cotton On over there in Geelong. Really good things to look at. And then of course you've got the Great Ocean Road, and it's the start of the Surf Coast and the Great Ocean Road for those of you who know a little bit, one of the most iconic roads in Australia. So what has Geelong done during this COVID time? Well, when you think about it, Geelong has not dropped in value. It has dropped, but it's dropped really as 0.1% in the last few months. So when COVID was hitting the whole country, and all of us have been affected by it, okay, and I know in Melbourne we had a drop of say 5 to 7%. Some places there were 10% drop. But I think in Geelong, because of the situation of where it's located and what is happening, there has been a demand for properties in Geelong, and that's been good because and that's held its value in there. Okay, so we're talking about Ryrie Home now. Ryrie Home is the name of this development. Really nice development. As we said, it's 1 hour from Melbourne, and it's very close to the waterfront. So this is where Ryrie Home is located. Okay, and it's in the main CBD of Geelong. So you're less than 300 meters to the railway station. You're walking distance to all the employers over there. You're 20 minutes to Torquay and Anglesey on the Great Ocean Road, and you're again 20 minutes to Avalon Airport. So the location is really good. It's in the heart of Geelong. You've got the Geelong precinct, the arts precinct over there, and the waterfront. So what is Ryrie Home? So Ryrie Homes are a really nice developer, and they're looking at 14 levels. So they've actually got another development which is next door, which is their hotel, and they've got some townhouse residence, and that's been sold out. And a nice hotel is going to come up. So next to it, they've looked at this from a residential point of view. So you've got 109 apartments. There's 14 levels. Again, there's going to be some retail and all that at the bottom, and a restaurant, and then there's 3-level basement. So there's no stackers. Everyone will have their own physical car park, and they've got a separate storage cage. Okay, we've got some barbecue areas. There's some beautiful views over the waterfront, and you've got proper full height windows. So you can see that's there's a couple of photographs of the different parts of the development. So what have we got? We've got some one bedders from 450,000 and the two bedders starting from 600,000. Okay. Again, we've got a valuation guarantee there. The body corporate fees are much lower, and the cash flow basically is about $40 per week. So basically, you're making money out of these properties. So it's not costing you anything to hold these properties, but you're going to make money out of it. And if you're not sure about how that is, please contact me, and I'll do a detailed cash flow analysis for you and show you how, between myself and your property mentor, we will be able to work with you and show you how you can benefit and how you can build your portfolio through these properties. Okay. So again, very excited for these couple of projects which we've got today, and I think there's some really good deals over here. Now, what we're going to do is, because of that, we're going to run a car convoy on Saturday, the 13th of March. Okay. Now, we were supposed to run it a couple of weeks ago, but then, as you know, we went into lockdown and we couldn't do anything. So those of you who are in Melbourne, and if you're outside, if you have some friends in Melbourne, you're more than welcome to tell them. On Saturday, the 13th of March, we're going to inspect some of these properties. And what we're going to do is we're going to finish at the display suite in the Sama Group in West Melbourne. Now, they're the ones building in Ivanhoe, but they have a beautiful display suite in West Melbourne. So we're going to finish off there around 2 o'clock and 1 o'clock and have something to eat. And we'll have a small presentation over there, and we can see their display suite and all that. So please register by the email which is going to be sent to you, or please contact me for further information. Okay. Right. The next thing I wanted to talk about is our property club, Rising with the Tide, our virtual property expo. That's going to be held on Saturday, the 20th of March. And that's virtually. So we log in, and that's from 9 o'clock in the morning. So again, I think that's going to be great, what do you call, pricing. And just for today, we've got this special happening. It's usually $49.95 was the entry or registration fee. But for the next 7 days only, and again, our head office have agreed to this. They've said they're going to drop it to $39.96, which is $40 for the next 7 days only. So you're getting a good discount. So it's $40 for a whole day of information. Where you'll hear people like Kevin, you'll hear people like Clifford Bennett, and you've got some really good speakers and sharing different information. There's going to be a few property mentors and branch managers and researchers talking about different aspects. Our brokers are going to be there. So it's going to be a whole vast of information. And so I reckon everyone should register for that. And for $40, I reckon you're going to get a lot of information for the whole day. And you can choose what you want to listen to and what you don't want to. So again, I highly recommend people to do that. Now, as Kevin mentioned, the other thing also, what's your next step now? So what I would suggest you do is, if you can email me 2 times when we can organize a Zoom meeting with you and your PM to look at how we can assist you in reducing your monthly payments. So that's important for you to understand. Now, if you're paying something, maybe we can look at it and we can say, okay, let's see what we can assist you in your current situation. And then also we look at, okay, how can we assist you in your property investment journey in moving forward? So that's basically what I wanted to talk about today. And one of the biggest things which I also want to tell you, in Melbourne at the moment, we've got a 50% stamp duty savings on on any new properties which are bought before the 31st of March. Okay, that's a Victorian government initiative where they're encouraging people to buy property through this through this hard times of COVID. So that's a 50% discount on stamp duty, which it works out to about 2.5% of your sale price. So that's a benefit which you get for buying new property. Okay, so again, feel free to contact me, and we'll be sending out something to you. So please make sure that you respond to that. And I thank you so much for your time and effort. But again, it's been great to hear what people are there, and we've had some questions come. So we will answer those questions. We will send out responses to each of those questions. Okay. So thank you everyone for attending, and I hope to meet you at some time at an event somewhere across the country, or we will catch up virtually. Thank you everyone, and good night.